Welcome back everybody. Just a very quick update in the basement this week. We're not really going to be touching on much here. Not enough everything's ready to go out. Just waiting for a few beans and some of the sunflowers in this one I don't think they're going to come through. And then the spinach that we've got here, as well as a couple of the soybeans. Other than that, everything else is good. We've got everything out, which I'll show you shortly. And then once we're done with that, we're going to be playing around with the crack key method. Right now, just got some basil in here, just letting it soak in some water right now, give it some nutrients later. Going to try with different types of pots and jars, as you can see here. Just going to play around, see what works best. I'm hoping the jam jar in a little pot, because I've got a ton of those. If not, then obviously we've got a bit more of a problem, because I've really only got these two here, but again, that's going to be for testing purposes. So yeah, right now this is all we've got in the basement. We will be going ahead and showing you the garden next, and then the balcony. So before we go out to the back garden, just want to show you something that I'll be reviewing this year. It won't be an independent review on its own, maybe later on it will be, but right now I'm just going to include it in the videos, and that is the Schmidt tomato cages. So it's $4.25, as you can see here, from the dollar store, so that's Canadian dollars. And it's a very simple device, just some metal bars, as you can see down here, and some plastic connectors that make it into a cage. So interesting, should be a cheap alternative to those cages. I'm going to show you how I use them in a moment, but that will be my kind of review this year, as well as the metal garden beds that I bought. So onto the garden now. So out into the garden here, and as you can see, we've got a few things sprouting through, like the beets, which is good. We've got popcorn here as well that we're planting alongside the tomato, and we've got some more popcorn here that we're going to be playing with, see how that works in this bed. And yeah, we've got some carrots in here and everything, but still waiting for them to pop through properly. I'm not seeing any yet, but that's what we've got so far. Nice little bit of rain. We got a nice little bit of cloud today and rain, and we had a lot yesterday. Here's the Schmidt tomato cage I was talking about. So it's a bit flimsy on the plastic part. It is strong as long as you do it right. And here I've gone with a interlocking kind of approach. It is movable, but not too much, so hopefully that works well. So that's going to be for the ground cherries here. Hopefully they go through. Planted some bok choy there, so I'm going to see how that goes in this bed. And the leeks are coming through okay, as well as the ground cherries here now are starting to come into their own, which is good. I'm happy with that. And we've got cucumbers growing here, and we've got something liking to dig up my garden, which is nice. As you can see, a nice deep hole here. I don't know if you can see it, but this little hole, I think that's squirrels. I hope it's squirrels and not something else. If it's something else, I'm a bit worried. And again, we've got some beets popping through here. They look like weeds right now, but the beets. And yeah, the rain's starting to come down a bit more right now. And again, we've got some corn here growing in this bed. The beans are doing well at the moment, which is good. I'm happy about that. Normally the bugs will have ate them by now, but everything seems to be good. I've got some watermelon planted out here, and everything so far is doing well. Tomatoes and basil doing decent there. You see the bugs are eating away at the basil, which is nice. We've got some marigolds here to attract bugs away from the tomatoes and everything else. The lime plant is doing well so far. We'll see how that goes. Pepper as well, it's doing okay, and just knocking over a pot here. Zucchini's doing decent, and I'm trying out a new method for that today. This year, in getting these bamboo sticks in this method, so we can sort of bind it in the middle of it. So let's see how that goes. So a few different methods that we're trying this year. One of the other methods I forgot to mention is I'm trying the new tomato cage that I've got here inside of these big ones. I'm going to see how that works. Okay. Again, we've got some corn, we've got some beans, and I will show you a bean in a moment that's been attacked. And Speaking of things being attacked, the Goji, this is mites. I think they're called gall mites or something that are attacking it. So I've been spraying it down. As you can see, I'm going to likely later on tonight, if it's still nice, if it's not raining too much, I'm going to likely take all of these diseased leaves off. I did chop a few of the branches, as you can see over there. Take some of these diseased leaves off and see if that helps the plant recover. Then spray it down with some insecticidal soap. So we'll see if that works well for us. But other than that, everything else is doing well. Cucumbers, peas, everything's doing well in the back garden. I will bring you up to the balcony shortly, but what I want to touch on first is the bugs in the garden that are eating everything. So don't know if you can see here, I think I might have covered it up well, but down at the bottom you can see there's been something nibbling away. So right here you can see something's been nibbling away at that, and especially right at the bottom it's very weak. So what I have to keep on doing, maybe I can uncover it and show you, maybe it's recovered, but you can see right there it's actually being chewed away quite a bit. So I don't know if this plant's going to survive, if it's going to do well. Hopefully it will, but basically I just need to, sorry about the camera being wonky, I'm just trying to cover it and make sure it's good. Basically I just need to keep on covering it up and making sure that these little roly poly bugs don't eat the stem of the bean plant, which they love doing for some reason, and instead just leave it alone. Let it grow up and survive, and then hopefully we'll be good. But it looks like they just keep on wanting to go back. So I'll cover it up as much as I can, get my fingers nice and dirty, which is always good. But they're the, I don't know if we can see any today, but they're the ones that are attacking my cantaloupe plant. As you can see here, they're eating away at it. They're the ones that like to eat, well, I did have cucumber plants here earlier on. They like to eat those. They love those types of plants, so that's why I'm worried about the watermelon over here. The peas they normally like to eat, and what they'll do is they'll likely start at the leaves, and it looks like, oh no, that's dead, thankfully. It looks like this. So this is how they would normally attack a plant. Oh, right there we can see. So I just scared one off. Let's see if there's any more. But what they do is they eat the leaves, especially the diseased ones. I'm okay with them eating the basil. Let them go ahead and do that. There's plenty of basil leaves. But they'll eat the leaves and then they'll just devour the whole plant. And I've had that with the cucumbers especially, and some of the other plants. So if we look over here at the eggplant, you can see this is being devoured. And again, you're thinking, well, what's that about? Well, there's normally a ton of them. And I can't see here, so they're more than likely in the grass and weeds down here. And then the mulch should help prevent the weeds to stop them from growing, but unfortunately at the same time it provides them a nice wet place to live in the meantime. If they've got a food source, they'll just multiply. So I want the mulch because, you know, it's good, but fortunately in the meantime it provides them a nice little hiding spot. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I need the garden to look nice. I need to get rid of all of these weeds, but at the same time I need to also get rid of the insects. So as I see them, I pick them up, I throw them away. So normally around, if I moved some of these, for example, we'd more than likely see a lot of them. And yeah, right there you see how many of them there are just living in here. Look at how many there are. So unfortunately there's not too much I can do at the moment until I get this garden eradicated of all the weeds, and then pick them away from the seedlings as they go. So there's not much I can do right now except keep on planting my seedlings that are strong and not weak, which has been a challenge this year, and just keep an eye on things. And if I see something getting eaten, straight away spray it down, make it better for them to eat, and hope for the best. Another thing I will say is that this straw hasn't helped either. It's given them plenty of hiding spots. That's why I've moved it all down to the tomatoes or into the pots, the fabric pots that I've put, because the pepper's nice and strong, the zucchini's nice and strong. They're not going to bother with those. So that's one thing I learned this year, is I won't be using straw again. So they're the challenges I'm getting this year, is the roly polies, or pill bugs. People call them different things. They like living down the gaps, as I showed you. This little gap down here, they'll love it down there, so there's likely a lot of them there. And what I'm more than likely going to do at some point is, in these holes, I'm going to put some powder. I forgot what the name of it is, but basically it's fossilized shells, which will dry them up. So yeah, I've got to do that at some point. With it raining, it's not a good time to do it, so likely on the weekend when it's dry. And with these, again, I'm just going to get rid of these leaves. So if you do have Gojis and you see this, you can spray it down, but chances are, because you're getting this, you're not going to get them all. So it's best just to get rid of those leaves and, you know, limit the amount of the mites that you'll get. And then the ones that do live on, if you spray with soap, hopefully it dries them out and kills them off, and then they don't reoccur. But I just need to make sure that there's enough leaves for the plant to live on. That's really all you're doing at this point, is getting the plant to survive. You know, some of these leaves have been absolutely devoured. As you can see, the tiny leaves, but absolutely devoured. So yeah, they're the challenges this year. Hopefully anybody else that's having those problems and haven't come up with a solution, hopefully I can help you with the few little things that I'm doing. Again, when it's nice and dry, spray it, and then hope for the best, and hope that they don't eat. As you can see down here, they've had the leaves off, and then they'll just leave it. But hopefully they don't eat the stem, because once they eat the stem, that's it, the plant's dying. So okay, onto the balcony we go. Okay, so out to the balcony, and I will let you know that I'm not having any such challenges on the balcony in terms of bugs. Why is that? Because it's nice and clean up. Well, it's weed free. I wouldn't say nice and clean, as you can see. There's stuff, there's tidying that I need to do. But yeah, there's no weeds. If there are any weeds in the pots, I can easily remove them. But there's no real challenges behind that. As well, in these pots, you really won't find them hiding in here. This pot, maybe because it's wood, they like hiding in the wood, but I cleaned that out before I brought it up here. So yeah, if there are any, there's a few of them, and they're not going to survive long enough to reproduce that much to that scale. Apologies, one of my neighbours is actually getting some work done on the garage, so apologies for that. But yeah, all of these pots, easy to spot any of these bugs, easy to get rid of them, not a big issue. So yeah, we do have some little flies flying around the place, but other than that, nothing that's going to devour the plants. And what I will say about the roly poly bugs, they're actually good for the garden in small doses. In the doses that I just showed you in a back garden, they can devastate the whole garden, or at least that patch of garden. But independently, they're good, because what they do is they recycle the material. They eat the decomposing matter, and they put nutrients back into the soil. So they are good. I don't like getting rid of all of them, but you got to do some crowd control, right? Population control. So this pea, for example, is doing nice. It's really loving it, as well as this pea. I've put something up to let it grow. So down in the garden, they may not be doing what they're doing here. So yeah, and again, I'm okay putting the mulch up here, especially in the pots. They need it. And we've got another one of these just to test out up here. So yeah, not facing any of those challenges up on the balcony, and thankfully so. But again, on the balcony, limited growing area, so not that it matters too much if there was a lot of bugs up here. So that's all of the updates this week. I will speak to you next week. Thanks very much for tuning in.